And Junyan Poon, can I like get an understanding of who I'm talking to? Like, what kind of experience you guys have, um, in terms of building stuff with AI and stuff. This will help me to better tailor what I say to what I think might be more digestible by you. So if you guys could help me with understanding what experience you have, would be great. Otherwise, we'll just start uh, as is.
Oh, sorry, Ian, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think Ian, you were trying to talk. You're trying to say something.
Yeah, I still cannot hear.
Okay.
I'm making comment as well. Yeah, in the
Yeah, we can
message.
come back to this. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Cool. Let me share my screen. Oh, someone typed. Apologies, something wrong. Yeah, you could type if you want. It's also I can read it off. That's fine. First time here, not building anything on AI yet. Have you, Sulan? Okay, um have you ever like written any code? Do you consider yourself a technical person? Web development, mostly a bit of generative AI. Yeah, that's no problem. You can just type and they can read it off, no problem. Web development. Okay, so front end. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Semi-technical product manager. Okay, that's great. Actually, that's great. I think that's the perfect crowd that people that are this level of technical proficiency is pretty good for this. All right, so the topic today is really just to build something like during this hour to we have an hour, right? Or
Yep. Yep.
yeah, an hour. Yeah, during the hour to make something that resembles an MVP of a product. Okay, and we're gonna employ some AI capabilities. We're gonna use a bit of vibe coding, and we'll also incorporate payment and permission and all that. So it's actually like the product itself is going to be very useless, but the whole structure will be there. Okay, so the idea is that if you use just vibe coding to build your entire product, very often you end up with a black box, especially if you don't read code, or especially if you don't read backend code, because that's where the core of a product is. And if you want to maintain and then iterate on it, you must have a good grasp of how your product works. And that's something, if you use vibe coding exclusively, that you're not going to have. And today we're going to be using a no-code backend, but coupled with a vibe-coded front end, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. Okay, so MVP is really the whole loop. The closed loop involves the product, somebody using it, somebody paying you, and you delivering a service that is that is different from the free version, if you do have a free version. And this is slightly a lie. I thought I rewrote this, but this is actually wrong. It's not going to be a subscription based, because we can't tell subscript the effect of subscription because it's too slow. It's going to be credit based, and it's not going to have a tiered pricing. It's just going to have a usage gap. So there is going to be a paywall. So you can only, let's say, a new user get a free credit as they enter, and then they gotta pay to get additional credits in order to continue using your product. And the tech stack for the backend is we're going to be using Momen. Momen is I'm the founder and CEO of Momen, and Momen is a no code full stack application development platform. It has an integrated AI builder, and it has all the stuff that you need for a backend. And we're going to be using all of that today. So the AI agent builder is basically something that we're going to be touching on the first. It will allow you to use models and use their capability to the fullest. And then we're going to store stuff into the database, because when you generate stuff with an AI, if you don't store them, that's like ephemeral. You can't really show the user their usage history, which people probably want. And also, we're going to use permissions to enforce limits, so those are not bypassable on the front end. One of the common mistakes that people make is that they would they would tell AI to put some kind of usage limit, but AI often would put it on the front end, and that's completely bypassable with anyone who can invoke your API. And then we're going to monetize with Stripe. We are going to use my existing account, but we'll be using a sandbox. And permission is, basically we're gonna put a paywall up, and we are going to be using action flow in Momen to chain up the AIs, the generations, and the storage into database and all that, so that users have a persistent storage, and you get all the logics chained up. And eventually, we're going to polish up the front end. We are going to be using a little bit of front end in Momen, because Momen is full stack, but you don't have to use it as a full stack tool. In this case, we're not going to use it as a full stack tool, but just a backend. We're going to build a more polished front end with cursor this time. And okay, so without further ado, that's all the introduction. And you should be using Chutes 100 as a code for $100 of credit. The way you redeem that is after registration. You will be taken into an onboarding project. You can quit out there and then go back to the user center. And in user center, there is going to be wallet, and then you redeem over here. Make sure you don't enter that code when you're registering. When you're registering, there will be an invitation code that is not necessary to enter. So just enter it, register without invitation code, and enter here. And here is the project assets. This takes you to Google Doc, and that contains everything that you will need to follow along, as well as if you need to review what happens, it'll be here as well. There'll be like some project assets and files that's useful for building the prototype. And then in this session, because we won't have enough time for me to guide you through every single step, but I will build every step. I will explain what I'm doing, but there won't be enough time for you to follow along, because that typically takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours if you were to follow along step by step. But since we will have a recording of this, you can always go back and check what's going on, or what went on. Okay, cool. So let's first take a look at the this link, which is the pre-built project in Momen, and it should look like this. Right, that's probably what you'll be looking at once you go in there. This is already built. It is a template project. You can take a look, and you can also click on this mirror button, and that will take you to something like this. And I'm going to synchronize the changes just so that we don't have this bar on top that's bothering us. You can see that we did not really build out a log out button. So what we can do is, let's see. We can log out. Once you log out, it will take you to the registration page, so you can register up here. And I have already registered, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sign in. That takes me back to this screen. And the whole idea is that we're going to upload an image and apply a style to it. In this case, I will apply an image of my hand holding some phone. And we have a list of styles that we can choose from. These are all dynamically fetched from the database. We'll see how that's done later. And let's say we're going to do, I don't know, sketch, right? And then we'll start transforming it. And then you can see here is this sketch, the style transformation with a little loading thing here. It's going to take about 30 seconds-ish. That's AI doing its work. While it's doing that, you'll be able to see AI working. So you can see that now I have one that is doing, that's still in progress, right? So if we refresh, it's probably going to take, we're using this 3.1 flash image preview thing. It's going to take probably another 10 seconds or so. Yeah, now that's done. And now if we come back here, you can see now it's being transformed into the result, which is a sketch of the same picture. And if you look down here, we also have a history that now contains the image that's this guy over here. That's basically the idea. And also you can see the remaining credit has now gone to 9 from 10. So that's subtraction of the credit. And then if we were to mimic what happens when we run out of credits entirely, so we can make this credit go to 0. And if we come back here, this still says 9. That's because this is only updated once. So now you're 0. You can't really do much now. If we try to do anything with another image, it won't let you do it. Okay, so the only thing you can do is like buy credit and pay money. That's kind of the idea. Okay, so that's the whole flow. You end up with I think this one isn't connected to Stripe. It kind of just fakes it. Yeah, it just fakes it and it gives you 10, right? But what we will build today is going to be connected to Stripe. So, okay. All right, so how do we do that? First of all, we'll create a new project. Hopefully you have already redeemed your $100 of credits. We're going to create the one. We call this image editor sauce. And since we're going to connect this to Stripe, you will need a pro version. And if you have redeemed your credit, you will see the credit over here. So that should cover your entire month of pro subscription. So that goes in here. Okay. So now we're here. Everything's empty. You have a single table and everything's empty. Now, first, let's try out the core functionality, which is editing an image, right? So let's we'll need an input. In that case, the input is just an image. And for the system, for people that have used AI, there's a system prompt and user prompt. We'll be very generic here. We'll say like build, like edit the image using the following style. And we call this sketch, okay? And in user message, you could attach one, or maybe you don't. It's up to you. In this case, I'll just write something like "do my bidding," okay? And we're gonna upload the same image. That should be the same image. We'll open it, and we need to choose a model that is supports image generation. You can see these are the capabilities. This one, but if you choose, let's say 3.1 Flash, this guy now can generate images. You will notice that you cannot run it yet. That's because the first time you create a new AI agent, you will need to synchronize the backend. So imagine the backend is basically the server that's running it, and you need to generate, you have to deploy it. Now you can click, and let's take a look at what it does. Okay, says do my bidding, and then you got your image that's sent as part of the prompt. And this is going to take another 30 seconds again. And it's going to consume some credits, some AI points once that's done. For Pro version, you always end up with 5 million AI points. And if you take a look at this point, we're running like a 99%. Oh, we have an error. Let's see what is the error from. That's a failed upload. Let's try it again. Typically, these uploads are fairly reliable. Let's see. Okay, I think there is an issue with the upload. Give me a sec. Meantime, we'll try this thing again, and if it doesn't work, I will have to go back to the one that's already working, and then we'll explain how these things are set up. Okay, so this has now succeeded. You can see it more or less is a reasonable sketch. You could make it more detailed by giving it a more detailed description of the actual style. For example, sketch with very thick strokes, right? And then that will probably do the same thing for you. Okay, so this is how it's edited. But then obviously a couple of things we want to do is we want to give it existing styles. We don't want user to have to enter this whole thing. And maybe if you had a secret source, you will want these secret source be hidden from your users. They shouldn't, you shouldn't give it out. So how do we do that? The way we hide stuff away from the user is we create tables in the database. These are hidden from the user if you set up your permissions properly. And in this case, we'll have a style table. And in the style table, we'll have a style name. And that's just a text. And we'll have, by the way, you can also create this with an AI as well. So you can do that here. But since I know exactly what I'm creating, I will not take the chance of letting AI do it, because AI is not always controllable. The content of the style, which again, just text. And maybe you also have an icon. which is going to be this stuff you see over here. So let's do an icon, which is the image. And I think that's mostly it. We'll have to upload these styles and then use them, right? So I'm going to sync it, and I will download the styles. So that's that. And I will download it. Okay. Okay. The reason it says style 2 is I probably have downloaded before. So this is a CSV we want. We can take a look at what's in it. You have a name, a description, and prompt. Oh, I probably should add another one called prompt. You have the name, and then this one is description. So let's description and prompt. Okay. Every time we make a change to the database, we'll have to synchronize to the backend, so that actually changes that database. In Momen, the database is a Postgres, so these are proper tables. So you do have to go through a synchronization step, but it takes like 5 to 10 seconds, so it's not too bad. And now we go to database. You can see the style table, and then we can now import the data. We'll just import the text content for now. We'll do the zip things later. I mean the actual icons later. So name is name. This icon we don't import. Prompt is prompt, and you can see we have oil painting, watercolor, anime, and then these are the prompts, and those are descriptions. Okay, so we import that. That is now done. We have them here, and now the way we can do it is in here. We could do something like we could add a style prompt, and then we'll use. You can click the plus sign over here, and now you can reference the style prompt. Okay, so let's give it a try. I will open the database again, and you can have it open in a standalone window. So we can reference stuff, and then we'll rename the agent 1 to image editor. That's not necessary. That's just for sanity's sake. Okay, so we'll pick one. We'll pick this pixel art, and we'll use the prompt of pixel art, and then see what it does. Okay, so that looks all right-ish. We got this pixel art, which is not very pixely, so let's pick something else. Hand-drawn, well, cyberpunk usually is more striking, so let's take a look. We'll put the prompt here, and then we'll mimic how this happens on the front end. By the way I build it is not going to be exactly the same as the way it's built in here. This thing is built with mostly best practices, but the way I'm building it will emphasize more on understandability rather than real best practices. Okay, so we got something like that. So that's pretty good. That's fine, but let's make the prompt a little bit more professional. So I'm just going to copy this entire thing. You can read it at your own leisure, but the idea is that you're going to tie down the behavior of the AI a little bit more, giving it a bit more, let's say, direction. So it's so every time it's, yeah. So let's see. We'll get rid of this line. The role your visual art, okay, style. This is using context. Actually, no, never mind. We'll stick with this so we don't break the logic. Okay, so this is now done. How do we store this into database then? First of all, we need a table for that. We call it a result. And the result is, let's do it with AI actually. Create a result table. Each result represents an editing history of a user, using a particular style. Okay, let's see what the AI thinks about it. At the current moment, Momen's AI Copilot is free to use. We're still in beta, but once it's fully matured, we are going to charge by tokens. Obviously, tokens not free. Okay, let's take a look. It says the result has an image. That's a result. Okay, that's good. A prompt, the thing that was stored. That's good. So seems reasonable. We also have some relation towards the style table. So, I mean, it's fine, which is a confirm execute. That will create a table for you. What we're asking it to do now is really, really simple. So it's not the best showcase of what this thing can do. It can create very involved database schemas, such as you say, I want a two-sided marketplace. Okay, so that thing is now done. Let's take a look at result. Each account has multiple results, and each style has multiple results. If we don't want the relation to style, we can just delete it over here. So that's that. Now we have the result table. Now we need to store it. In order to store stuff that's generated by the AI, you could either do it on the front end, or more correctly, you would do it with an action flow. An action flow is a workflow that runs, a multi-step workflow that runs on the back end. So in this case, we'll call this edit and save. An action flow will take some inputs. In this case, the input would be the image, source image. That's the thing that user gives you. And it also has to take in the prompt. The two ways of doing it, you could either enter a prompt directly in here, but that means you're later going to expose this on the front end. Or you could, in here, you're just going to use a style ID. And then you would use, you would fetch out the style from the database and access its prompt on the back end, on the server. So on the server, it is safe. So you never risk exposing your secret sauce, because these prompts, if you curate them well, is really your mode of making money. Obviously, the ones that we have now is very generic, but the idea is that if you had something that's worth protecting, so it would fetch out the style using the ID. Everything in Momen can be fetched in the database, can be fetched with their ID or with other criteria. But in this case, you're going to use the ID, and then what you could either do it like this. style ID, or you could use this AI smart suggestion, we call it. You click on that, it should figure out, you want the ID to be the condition. So the way to read this is we're going to fetch from the style table, we'll fetch one of it, and whose ID matches the style ID. Okay. And sort and distinct in here is useless because there's a single one. You don't need to sort it. And the AI will also change the name of your node if it finds it necessary. And now you have it. Now you want to run AI, but then you can see asynchronous mode required. That's because AIs take 30, 40 seconds to run. And if you use what's known as a synchronous mode in Momen, that's really a database transaction. And if you have long-running transactions, that's bad for performance, and it will deadlock your database. So that's bad. We're not going to do that. And that's how we enforce that. And then in here, you can just use AI to fill these things in. And you can see these input 1, which we never renamed, is the image. And the input 2 is the styles prompt. So AI has guessed both of them. And if we change this to source image so that things are easier to discern, you should be able to see that now this thing says source image. Okay, so now next step, we want to save the result of this conversation, which is the AI thing. Let's call it edit by AI. And then we want to save it. The way you save data is you insert. We need a couple of things. Let's check. First, we need to pick out which one we save. We're going to save a result. We need the image that's generated by the AI. We need the prompt that is coming from the style. We need an account ID, which we don't have yet. And you might think we want to pass in the account ID here, but that's actually a bad practice too, because that means people can fake it. Anything that's passed from the front end can be faked other than their token. So the way we get the user ID is by using their token. So this is how we do it. The get ID thing, well, I should really say get account ID. And okay. Cool. So this one will give us the account ID. And in here, you should be able to click that. And we'll give the account ID and the prompt. This will be filled out too. Image is a bit of a problem. The reason is by default, well, not by default, they technically Google's image generating these models always generate a multitude of images. So you can't directly bind it. So if you look at edit by AI, it has a field called images, not image. That's because it can have multiple. So it is a list of images. So in order to turn anything from a list into one of it, you will get there's a thing called get item. Then you then pick which one you want from it. In this case, we should get the images. We get the first one, which is index 0 from the images. So that should save it. Okay, and the output, let's just output the result ID. So we have just stored a result. Anytime you store anything or interact with data in the database, we let you directly access all the returning fields. All right, so that is done. And we're going to have to test this thing. I'm going to synchronize the changes. As I said, anytime you make a change on the back end, you have to synchronize it before you run it. And we're going to do something here. So first of all, we need an input for the image. That's a source image. And then we need a way to pick a style. So in this case, we're going to hard code the style. So let's take a look at which style we want. Say impressionist, right? We're going to use impressionist whose ID is 7. So we're going to use that number to invoke the AI. So you choose a button and you go to the action and then you look at request. We're not going to use AI directly because that one doesn't save into database. It only processes the file. We want to use an action flow to both process the file and store. This one's going to pick out the image picker, so that's fine. And then style, we've entered 7, and then we're going to show the loading animation and for us to get a visual feedback when we test. And then we're going to use mirror to do the testing. Okay, so we're going to use the last image that we used before, which is my hand with the phone. Okay, and we're going to click start. We'll get the spinning thing. By the time the spinning finishes, we should see a piece of data inside the result table. Currently, it's all empty. Let's wait for the thing to run. And also, while this is running inside AI, in the image editor, you should see one that's in progress. That's the one we just kicked off. The way the logic works is when I click, it would go into the action flow, trigger this, and it will go to here. This thing then runs the image editor. And when that's done, it will save the result, which means in, I need to refresh this. In result table, we now have a new result whose account ID is empty. Why is that? Because we are not logged in at all. Currently, we have no user. So we have created a thing that has no account. How do we stop people from doing that? Well, first of all, you need to go to the permissions, and then we have 2 roles. Anonymous users are the ones that haven't logged in, right? So we'll disable all their access. And for the table, we'll also disable their read access. We'll get rid of access to the result table because you don't want them to see other people's results. Styles, maybe we'll let them see, but we also don't want to touch our styles. They can only read, okay? And then we sync it. Now, if we click again, we will get a warning saying that, actually an error saying that you can't touch this. So now let's try this again. Upload this. Click. No authority. You're banned from doing it, okay? And in order to do that, we will have to create a user, just some arbitrary user, and then we run it again. We should see a new piece of we'll see a new piece of result inside here whose account is the one that's just created. So 01, the 01 guy is going to have a piece of result in here. Now let's take a look at that's okayly impressionist, I guess. Okay, so we have a new one. You can see that belongs to the account, and we have the impressionist image. All right, so that's good. Next thing we want to do is we want to ensure that you have a credit system. In order to create a credit system, we need a way to track it. So for now, we're going to change the account to have a thing called a credit. And then we'll set that to big int and then just save. We'll synchronize it, and then that will become our credit. Now, this thing currently is just null. And if you go to here, the credit is null. So let's give it a single credit. And then we're going to modify our action flow to deduct the credit when things are saved. So in here, we're going to update data. We're going to update the account where the credit is decreased by 1. And the ID that we're updating is the same account that's running it. So let's try it again. We're going to sync, and we're going to click, and we should see a new result. So let's go back into data first, right? In data, we need to refresh this. Sorry. Okay, so credit is 1 currently. The account has credit of 1 and it has a single piece of result in here. So if we run it again, it should have 2 pieces of results and no credit. Well, credit going to 0. Okay, so let's wait, and both of them should happen. And then you just need to set up a new rule so that accounts with less than 1 credit won't be able to access your action flow. Okay, here we go. We got a new one that's generated. That's our image that belongs to our user, and our user now has 0 credits. So the last thing we need to do to put up the paywall before we set up payment is inside permissions, go to logged in user. We're going to get rid of the AI access, but we won't get rid of the account, the action flow access. We will limit it to people whose credit is greater than 0. Okay, so that will stop people in their tracks when they don't have enough credit. So that is now running. Sorry, synchronizing. And now it's synced. Okay, so let's try it again. We should get an error. Yeah, same thing, no authority, right? Now, if we change the actual data of the account so that the credit is now 1, we should be able to run this. Okay, you can see this is evaluated at every time you run on the server. So there's no way a user can work around this. Okay, so now we already have created the paywall. So next thing we need to do is we need to set up payment so that people can make a payment to us. So we're going to activate Stripe. We don't have an order table. We have to create the order table. That's a requirement. That is how we tie Stripe payments to users and stuff they bought. It's called its order table, and then we have it's owned by a user. So a user can make multiple orders. So it has a one-to-many relationship to orders. So a user has many orders. Inside order, we just call it the account. The relation is called account, and inside account, we call it orders. And within the order, there's going to be amount. So that's vacant, things that they bought, which in this case, maybe there's only one thing they can buy, and we probably don't need anything else. And we probably also need to limit everybody's access and permissions so that people don't modify their order table on their own. The way we do that is inside here. You can read their own order. You can't access. You can't do any of these. You can just read. Okay. And also, oh yeah, one thing I forgot. There should be a status. Orders are created initially that are pending, and later maybe they are paid. Okay. Okay, so that's orders, and then we need a way to create the order. As we have already turned off the ability for user to create order directly, we need to expose that in an action flow. And why would we do that roundabout way is because you can control exactly what price you set. So in this case, we're just going to get the user, and then we'll create an order for the user. That's inserting data. We'll set the account, the amounts. We're just going to do $5. We're going to do USD, right? So in this case, it is going to be in cents. Status is pending, and resolution is nothing. Okay, so that's now set. And we're going to return the order ID. That's useful for the front end to communicate with Stripe. And amount, same thing. You can see it's getting the create orders ID, and this one should get the create orders amount. Yeah. So that's now done. We will now need to hook up Stripe. So again, we're going to activate. We're going to use order as the order table. Stripe public key. Those are coming from Stripe. Let me find my Stripe table. So sandbox, GLIK demos. Okay, so I need my keys. So you only need to enter 2 keys, and then we'll create a bunch of things for you. You can adjust your brand. We call this fancy image editor. You can upload a bunch of stuff, but that's optional. So that's now saved. And once it's saved, we're going to create some webhooks for you. So this one is done when a payment is triggered when a payment is done. You can see in trigger, it has a callback. This is already being configured inside Stripe. So you don't need to touch any of that. All you need to do is on success, what you do, or on fail, what you do. So in this case, when it's successful, we'll do a couple of things. We'll update the order so that the status becomes successful, where the order's ID is equal to order ID. So this one is already automatically parsed out for you. So you don't need to do all that yourself. So within the webhook, you already have access to the order ID. So that's done. The next step, we're going to give the account some credits. So in this case, we're going to update an account, set or increase credit by 1, where the account's ID is equal to the order's accounts ID. So let's call it update order. Okay. So that's all we need to do. We rename this to give credit. Okay, so now we have given credit, and that's all. We're going to synchronize the changes and make some changes on the front end. That will be the last step that we perform on Momen before we go into Cursor to build a nice looking front end for this. So in here, we call this edit. And the next thing we're going to have, we call this edit. And the next one, we call it buy. Right? Buy money or buy stuff. Well, 2 things we need to do. Once we click on buy, you need to create the order. So that is an action flow of create order. And then once you have created the order, you now make a payment. So there's Stripe, and you have a one-time payment. Currency is USD. Amount is the returned amount, and product name is, I don't know, 1 credit. Useful stuff. Both these are optional. Okay, so let's take a look. We have to synchronize the backend. Sorry. Oh, there is none. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh this. All right, so let's take a look at how much credit we have now. We have 1. That means if we do it once, we run out of credit, then we need to buy it. And if it does succeed, we will have, we're going to click edit. Oh, no, actually I'm 0. Oh, I'm 0. I'm already 0. So I forgot about that. I was 0. Okay, so we're just going to click buy. Now we have the Stripe thing. Because we're using we're using Sandbox, you have infinite money, so you can just do 424242, and that's the success Visa card for Sandbox. Okay, everything else you don't need to do anything. So once we click pay now, what we should have is a new order that is paid, and the account that is in successful states. The account was what do you call that? Was 1 credit, and then we are able to click edit again, right? We're gonna click that. It says payment succeeded. Let's go back to database to check that's the case. We're gonna click refresh over here. Credit should go to 1. Yeah, credit is 1. And then if we this one doesn't have the order table. I have to refresh this entire thing again. Okay, so the order table here. The order table has a new entry belonging to that user for the amount of 500 cents, and the state is now successful, which means we should be able to click edit again now, right? And once we click edit again, we should have a new result. So the next result will be result number 5. I'm going to do that. Okay, it didn't give me the error. And now you basically have almost everything ready to go. Obviously, I still have a few gaps that I haven't really covered in accounts, because we don't want the account user to set up their own credit, because currently we don't have a control over that, which we'll fix. Since I'm already saying that, let's do that. Go to the logged in user, go there to account. They should not be able to update their credits. That's as simple as that. And also, you probably don't want them to update anyone else's stuff. So the way you do that is say the logged in user's account is equal to the current account. So you can't touch that. And for we should not let them insert anything, right? That's just that. And then for read, you let them read just their own stuff, maybe. That's how you can set them up. They can't delete anyways, so that's good. Okay, so that's how you set this thing up. And for order, maybe you don't want them to insert or update. Just let them read. And you only let them read their own orders, right? So in this case, you say your ID is equal to the order's accounts ID. That will limit their access. You do something similar with everything, but we're not going to dwell on this, but that you get the idea. That's how you can lock stuff down. Okay, we're going to synchronize the changes while we check. If we refresh, we should see result 5, the last generated one. So we have a result 5, and we go to account, it should now have 0 credit. Okay, so that's the entire flow. Now we just need to build this thing out, a nicer front end for it. So the way we do that is we have a thing called cursor rules. If you're using cursor, if you're using open code or Claude code or whatever, we have a corresponding skill, which is like Momen Bass skill. So you can go there. But for now, we're going to stick with cursor rules. Right. So I've already set up a completely empty cursor directory. And we are also I have also set up the I'm going to close this Momen MCP. That Momen MCP, the installation is also included in here. So cursor should be able to figure that out on its own. So in here, we'll just say apply the cursor, the cursor rules and check MCP according to blah. All right, up to step 4. You may notice I'm using Gemini 3.5 Flash. If you're rich, you should be using Sonnet or Opus. But Gemini 3.5 Flash is really fast and reasonable in quality from the 2 days I've been experiencing with it. Okay, so it starts doing stuff. Okay, so it's cloned it. It's probably going to copy some stuff out. Yeah, it has copied some stuff out. And now we have the cursor rules. Okay, that's good. If you're curious, you can take a look at what's in these cursor rules. Essentially, within those, we explain how Moment's backend works to cursor. And with the using in collaboration with the MCP server, we have the static rules and we have the dynamic backend structure, and combined together, both cursor and, well, the cursor would understand how to talk to that particular project's backend. It's doing something, and I think it's all set up. We don't really need to do much. Well, I'm gonna stop this guy here, and then that's a setup one. Now we have another one that's like build it. So build a front end for Momen projects. This guy over here. That's the only thing you need to copy. Make things look nice and modern. Use username for login. And what else? Cost for credit is $5 USD. And what else we need to tell it? I think that's we can give it a nice picture so that I have a picture over here, which is kind of just like what the other account, the project had, and that's about it. And given some, we're already out of time, but given some magic, this thing probably should finish within 5 to 10 minutes. And that's, while we wait, it's time for questions, if you guys have any.
Oh yeah, Yao Kai. So you define I guess the frameworks for the front end, is it in the cursor rules?
Well, I'm just letting cursor go free reign. I didn't even define any limits. All that's in here is how to talk to Momen. Like everything front end, cursor decides on its own.
All right.
Okay, so cursor just opened up this because if you were to interact with Momen, it needs to be logged in, right? So we'll open up a thing for you to log in. Otherwise, like there's no access control. So this is how we deal with access control. Cursor will receive your token and it will do the rest. So you can see it has gotten the project schema. You can see this one contains the edit and save. That's the one we just made. That's this guy, the edit and save. It contains all the, you can see it contains things like what it does. So cursor understands what the hell this edit and save means. And okay, so now it's setting up. That's the front end part. That has nothing to do with Moment. You can set up front end whatever way you want, because we're just at this point we're just an API endpoint. We're the back end, right? So you can do whatever you want on the front end. Should be reasonably fast. Any other questions in the meantime, since we're waiting? We can see some progress over here. It's installing Stripe stuff. Oh, I forgot one thing that I need to tell it. Stripe's public key. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to make any Stripe payments. So I'm going to clone the Stripe public key. And because it is the Stripe public key, oh, by the way, you guys can see it. That's my fake Stripe account. That was the $5 that just came in, the fake $5. I'm just gonna add the Stripe public key there, so I'm just gonna send that now, so it knows. Right, that's a $5 that we just got paid the fake money. If everything goes well, we should be able to click the thing that cursor makes and click on it, so we make another $5 of fake money. Hey, here we go. There's the authentication and all that. There's no guarantee this will succeed in one go. It's just like any AI project, right? Because AI can make mistakes creating anything. So this is good if you're prototyping. If you want to build something that's substantial and controllable, either you would do it, either you know code and therefore you can fix AI's problems, or if you have patience, you can actually build fancy stuff in Momen too. Like this page is entirely built in Momen, and it has all the dynamic data and all that stuff. That's actually our own website. So you can see that is built in Momen. So you get a lot of control, but the price you pay for this is obviously this takes longer to build than just prompting an AI.
Oh yeah, okay. The first time, right, the $5, you didn't need a public key for it to work, is it?
Oh, that's because on Momen it's automatically done. So we built the payment button here inside Momen. So inside Momen, the front end already knows your Stripe public key, so you don't have to.
Because it's the front end inside Momen. Okay.
Yeah, because it's inside Momen, so we try to do the niceties and quality of life stuff. But if you're building a separate front end, obviously you need to give it the public key.
All right.
Yeah, but it's safe because the only thing they can do with your public key is to give you money. So if someone really wants to give you money by stealing your key, I wouldn't complain too much. You can see it's doing the checkout model here. And sometimes you see I said go here. The reason is sometimes cursor makes requests too fast and Google will be like, stop. And then you have to like ask it to go again. Okay, hopefully it's fetching, and you can see it's fetching some styles by the ID, so that's not bad. And those are the requests, the queries, and then requests that the front end will be sending to Momen. Actually, this will, I don't know if I stopped that, but doesn't matter. So let's go. How far are we? Thinking, drafting app structure. Okay. Seed styles. Okay. Go. To know, sometimes you look at them and you don't even know if they're working. This one looks like it's still working, but there's no visual. Oh yeah, it's still working. Yeah. Any other questions? You can type. You don't have, if you have trouble using your mic, you can type. I should be able to read them, no problem. Okay, so does a bunch of stuff. It's too fast for me to read, but for people that are familiar with front end, you should be able to tell it's doing normal React, nothing crazy, and it's going like default seed style. That's crazy. Use the styles in the DB, no seed.
Oh, it can't read your the styles. What was that again? The document, is it?
The reason it should be using the stuff in the DB is that when it used Momen MCP to fetch the structure of the backend, it knows the tables. It knows the table names, the table structure. It knows all the workflow that you have built, including what they actually do, not just the name, but what they do. And also all the AI agents that's built, what the purpose of the AI agent is, stuff like that. Oh, it's trying to insert some new styles for me.
Some-
Okay. Since we're waiting, I mean, I could have started running this to on the old project, but I thought that felt like a bit like cheating, so that's why I finished building it on Momen, the backend, before moving over here to let AI work on it. We're up to 114K in tokens already. Every conversation.
Mm.
Completed 7 out of 7 to-dos. All right, so with some luck, maybe this will run. Let's see. Um, 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 um. Does that work? Ooh.
All right, cool.
Oh, it is working.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yay, here we go.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the ones. And we're gonna log in. If we try to
Wow.
log in with Zhang Yao Kai, it wouldn't succeed because I never registered. So that doesn't exist. We're gonna sign up. We're gonna do Zhang Yao Kai, and then we'll see. Okay, that's signed up. Let's check whether that exists in the database. That's a source of truth. We should now have 2 accounts. Yes, and Jiang Yaokai is here.
Mm.
Okay, now I have 0 credits because we never gave them default credits. You could do that with action flow plus a trigger, but we won't go into that today. But you can do that. So we're gonna refresh, and hopefully this thing is gonna give me the. Oh, we have to do this again. That's unfortunate. Where's my credits? Where are my credits? Okay, let's see. Did it actually fetch the credit? Sometimes these AIs, I don't even know if they did what I asked to do. Let's see. All right. We did a login, so that's no problem. We fetched the account. We fetched both accounts. That's not useful. Anyways, it fetched the wrong account, but but it doesn't matter because it will still be controlled by the backend. So let's try to do this. We'll upload this guy. Upload image, done. We'll pick pop art, and I don't know what's going to happen, but let's see. Start transform. Oh, it says it thinks I have no money. So at least let's try to for the $5, right? So that will give us 1 more credit. Okay. Let's see. This thing should now have 2. Yeah, that's 2. We should have
Awesome.
2 orders. That's now 2 orders, right? That's a new order that was just made on 11. So that works. And the only problem is now this one thinks that I have no credit. God. So now if we click start transform, it will still refuse because it thinks I have no money.
Oh.
But again, that's the idea. That's AI, so you have to like tell AI to fix it. But I think you guys get the idea. Credit is not coming from the correct the logged in user credit field. You are fetching any accounts. Okay, so that's the endless loop of asking AI to fix their stuff now. Okay, if we have any questions, you can ask away, and otherwise I won't be taking more of your time. We're 10 minutes past, so to be respectful to everybody's time, we will probably cut it short, so you won't see the whole thing working, but you get the idea. There's creating the agent. Once you create agent, you hook it up to a action flow, which does all the orchestration. So the data can come from the database and go back into database. And also you can manage credits, and then we set up payment and permissions so that people will run out of credit and make a payment so that they can keep using it. So that is fundamentally an MVP right here.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Yao Kai and Cici from Momen, to be part of us doing this workshop together. Yeah. And actually, this workshop is meant to be recorded and shared after this. Definitely, because right now in Malaysia, it's like in the afternoon now, 2 to 3 p.m. So yeah, it's working hours, and students are studying as well. So yeah, we're just following like the hackathon kind of timeline. Yeah, so yeah, it's meant to be recorded and like people just watch it in their own free time. Yeah, but also thanks to the 3 to 4 people just now who like came in together and watched this live. Yeah, so thanks. Yeah, Yao Kai is actually like doing this live from the US, right?
Yeah.
So really grateful for him to take his time off and do this workshop recording. Yeah, and definitely this is not the end of our partnership as well. We look forward to more events together. Yeah, thanks Ian, thanks Alison, thanks Asma, I think. Yep. Okay, thanks everyone. So this is the end of the recording. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.